And as Gwen was talking about earlier, it's really everyone who's involved in that solutioning, whether you design, develop, or operate, or if you're a leader of an organization, you have some accountability and responsibility for implementing these ethical AI practices. But humans cause this bias, meaning that we also have the ability to solve it, and it takes work. It is not easy, but it is something that we're not helpless about. And so I think that's always nice to keep in mind. It might be an uphill battle for the next several years, but here we are having this conversation, and to me, that's an exciting first step. So before I go on, I just want to cover a few useful concepts when it comes to talking about algorithmic bias. And the first is the concept of algorithm fairness. And so this refers to the ability for an algorithm to give you the same statistical results for all demographic groups that are under consideration. There are a lot of different metrics to consider. This paper referenced below. I'm not sure if we included it in the final deck, but if not, we can add that. A lot of people have basically come up with different ways of defining fairness, and it may be appropriate to use one in one case and a different one in the other. But that's just a term that might come across as you start doing some more research on this topic. Another term is the protected attribute. So this, in machine learning and AI, the attribute is, an attribute can either be thought about information about a case. So if the case is a person, it could be race, it could be gender, shoe size, how tall they are, whatever. These are characteristics of your attributes. Protected attributes are the ones that are considered to be sensitive, and in particular sensitive for potential discrimination. And it's not like there's a unified class of what are protected attributes. It really depends on the problem you're solving. And it can also include ones that are protected from a legal perspective, and ones that are just, as an organization, you're trying to build a model that does not racially discriminate. And so you define at the start of your problem that race is a protected attribute that we want to consider. The protected group refers to persons that belong to the group of people that have that positive value. So African Americans would be a protected group that correspond to the protected attribute of race, that the problem, say we're trying to solve for a problem that is not unbiased from a racial perspective. And another term that comes up, I won't talk about it a lot, but is this concept of intersectional fairness. So I think it would probably come to no surprise to people to know that people who find themselves at the intersection of multiple vulnerable groups, so Black women are a good example, they have a whole other set of experiences and biases, and I would say historical unfair outcomes that kind of sit at this intersection of being both a woman and both a person of color. So, so these are just some terms that can help you start talking within your teams about, how are we going to think about the problem we're going to solve, and what is it that we care about in terms of building a system that is fair.